Did you know that over 80% of Earth's most stunning natural wonders remain unseen by the average American in their lifetime? Not because they're hidden, but because we're often looking in the wrong places. Forget those tired postcard views you've seen 1,000 times. We're about to take you on a high-octane tour of 10 places so raw, so overwhelmingly powerful, they'll redefine what you thought you knew about beauty. These are the spots that don't just sit there, they grab you, shake you, and change you. Buckle up, this isn't your grandma's travel show. All right, let's kick this off with a place that's probably not even on your radar, Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Now, you might have seen pictures, but what most people don't realize is that this isn't just the world's largest salt flat, it's the largest natural mirror on the planet. We're talking over 4,000 square miles of blindingly white salt crust, so flat that the elevation changes by less than 3 feet across the entire expanse. Think about that. An area bigger than Delaware, almost perfectly level. During the rainy season, from December to April, a thin layer of water transforms it into this surreal, endless skyscape. It's like walking on clouds, with the horizon completely disappearing. The visual illusion is so profound, it's a favorite spot for photographers trying to capture those mind-bending perspective shots. And get this, beneath that salt crust, which can be dozens of feet thick in places, lies about 50 to 70% of the world's lithium reserves. That's right, the stuff powering your smartphone, your laptop, your EV. A huge chunk of it is chilling under this otherworldly landscape. So while you're there feeling like you're on another planet, you're actually standing on a critical resource for our own. The temperature extremes here are no joke either. It can swing from scorching daytime heat to well below freezing at night, especially between June and August. And at an altitude of nearly 12,000 feet, you'll feel the air thinning. This isn't a casual stroll in the park, it's an expedition. But the payoff? Unforgettable. Imagine driving across this vastness with nothing but salt, sky, and the occasional island of ancient fossilized coral and giant cacti like Inca Islands sticking out. It's desolate, it's beautiful, and it's utterly unexpected. This is Earth showing off its minimalist, brutalist side, and it's absolutely captivating. Most tours even end with a stay in a hotel made almost entirely of salt blocks, walls, beds, tables. Talk about a unique check-in. Next up, for those of you whose blood runs a little richer with adrenaline, we're heading to Queenstown, New Zealand. This isn't just a town, it's the undisputed global capital of extreme sports. If it involves jumping off something high, moving incredibly fast, or a general disregard for the quiet life, you can do it here. And the scenery, jaw-dropping. Nestled on the shores of Lake Wakatipu and surrounded by the towering southern Alps, it's like Mother Nature built a playground specifically for thrill seekers. Let's talk specifics. Bungee jumping? It was pretty much commercialized here by A.J. Hackett at the Karawaro Bridge, a 141-foot plunge that's become a rite of passage. But that's just the appetizer. You've got the Nevis bungee, a staggering 440 feet. That's nearly the height of a 40-story building. You're suspended in a cable car over a massive gorge, and then you leap. The free fall lasts over 8 seconds. Think about that. 8 solid seconds of pure, unadulterated terror and exhilaration. But Queenstown doesn't stop there. How about whitewater rafting? The Shotover River offers grade 5 rapids. That's pretty much the most challenging you can get commercially. We're talking names like Toilet, Pinball, and Jaws. You get the picture. Then there's canyon swinging, which is like bungee jumping's crazier cousin. You leap off a cliff and swing in a massive arc through a canyon. Or maybe jet boating. These high-powered machines skim across the water at insane speeds, performing 360-degree spins inches from canyon walls. What most people don't realize is the level of innovation here. These Kiwis are constantly inventing new ways to scare the pants off of you. Tandem skydiving from 15,000 feet offers views that are almost too beautiful to comprehend while you're plummeting towards them. And in winter, world-class skiing and snowboarding at the Remarkables in Coronet Peak. The energy in Queenstown is infectious. It's a town fueled by adrenaline, stunning landscapes, and the collective screams of thousands of people having the time of their lives. It's not for the faint of heart, but if you want to feel truly alive, this is where you go to push your limits. It's a place that redefines your comfort zone, then shoves you right out of it. The sheer variety is what gets you. One day you're heli-skiing on untouched powder, the next you're mountain biking down a near vertical track, and that evening you're enjoying some surprisingly sophisticated food and wine. Because yes, they do that incredibly well too. The surprising truth is, despite its wild reputation, Queenstown has a very high standard of safety and professionalism in its adventure tourism. These operators are world leaders, so while you're definitely on the edge, you're in expert hands. It's a place that proves that mind-blowing adventure and stunning natural beauty aren't mutually exclusive. They're a package deal. All right, let's shift gears from pure adrenaline to deep historical enigma. We're going to southeastern Turkey, to a site that has rewritten human history, Göbeklitepe. Forget Stonehenge, forget the pyramids of Giza in terms of age. Göbeklitepe is currently dated to around 9,600 BC. That makes it roughly 6,000 years older than Stonehenge and 7,000 years older than the Great Pyramid. Let that sink in. This isn't just an old site, it's mind-bogglingly ancient. What most people don't realize is that these monumental carved stone pillars, some weighing up to 20 tons and standing 18 feet tall, were erected by people who were, according to previous theories, supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers. They hadn't even developed pottery or domesticated animals widely yet, let alone invented the wheel or writing. Yet they managed to quarry, transport, and erect these massive T-shaped monoliths, intricately carving them with depictions of animals like lions, boars, foxes, snakes, and vultures. This discovery, first seriously excavated in the mid-1990s by German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt, threw a massive wrench in the traditional understanding of Neolithic development. The prevailing theory used to be that agriculture came first, leading to settled societies, which then developed complex social structures and monumental architecture like temples. Göbeklitepe suggests it might have happened the other way around. The immense effort required to build this complex, potentially a ritual or spiritual center, may have driven people to organize, to settle, and to develop agriculture to feed the workforce. It's a temple first, then city hypothesis. Imagine that! The drive to create something sacred, something monumental, might have been the spark that ignited civilization as we know it. The site itself is vast, with only about 5% excavated so far. Ground-penetrating radar suggests at least 20 more circular enclosures of these megalithic pillars are still buried underground. Each enclosure typically has two larger central pillars surrounded by smaller ones. The level of artistry and symbolism is astounding for its age. What was its purpose? A burial site? Unlikely, as few human bones have been found. An astronomical observatory? Perhaps. A center for ancestor cults? The carvings of vultures, often associated with death and excarnation, or leaving bodies for birds to consume, are particularly intriguing. The truth is, we don't definitively know. And that's the beauty of Göbeklitepe. It's a profound mystery, a window into a time so distant, it challenges our very understanding of who we are and where we came from. It forces us to reconsider the capabilities and spiritual lives of our ancient ancestors. Visiting Göbeklitepe isn't just seeing old stones, it's confronting the dawn of human complexity.
Feeling overwhelmed by ancient mysteries or the thought of bungee jumping? Let's transport you to a place where the loudest sound is often the wind or the cry of a seabird, the Faroe Islands. Tucked away in the North Atlantic, halfway between Norway and Iceland, this self-governing archipelago of 18 volcanic islands is a photographer's dream and an introvert's paradise. What most people don't realize is that in the Faroe Islands, sheep outnumber people by almost 2 to 1, roughly 80,000 sheep to 50,000 humans. And these aren't just any sheep. They're a unique, hardy breed that has adapted to the harsh, windswept conditions. The landscapes here are raw, dramatic, and utterly breathtaking. Think towering cliffs that plunge directly into the churning ocean, emerald green valleys, countless waterfalls cascading down mountainsides, and turf-roofed houses that look like they've sprung from a Tolkien novel. One of the most iconic sights is the Múlafossar waterfall in Gássadalur, which dramatically spills over a cliff directly into the Atlantic. For years, Gássadalur was one of the most isolated villages in Europe, accessible only by a strenuous hike over a mountain or by boat. A tunnel was finally blasted through in 2004, but the sense of remoteness and untouched beauty remains. Then there's Sørvágsvatn, also known as Leitisvatn, the lake over the ocean. It's a stunning optical illusion where the largest lake in the Faroes appears to be tilted precariously high above the sea, an effect created by the high cliff at its seaward end. Hiking is the way to truly experience the Faroes. Trails crisscross the islands, leading to incredible viewpoints, like the Kallar Lighthouse on the island of Kalsoy, perched precariously on a narrow promontory with sheer drops on either side. The weather here is notoriously fickle. You can experience all 4 seasons in a single day. One moment it's bright sunshine, the next you're enveloped in a thick fog or lashed by rain. But that's part of its wild charm. The surprising truth is, despite its remoteness, the Faroe Islands have a surprisingly vibrant culture. With a unique language, Faroese, derived from Old Norse, a thriving music scene, and a deep connection to their Viking heritage. And the seafood? Unbelievably fresh. The lack of trees, there are very few native trees due to the cool summers, strong winds, and grazing sheep, gives the landscape a stark, almost primal beauty. It's a place that makes you feel small in the best possible way, reminding you of the raw power and majesty of nature. If you're looking to escape the noise, the crowds, and the relentless pace of modern life and truly connect with something elemental, the Faroe Islands are your crowd-free heaven. Just remember to pack layers, lots of layers. Okay, let's talk aspiration for a moment. We all dream of those over-the-top luxury experiences, but what if I told you one of the most iconic, the overwater bungalow in a tropical paradise, could be more attainable than you think without sacrificing an ounce of the magic? Forget the Maldives for a second, and let's look at places like the Gili Islands in Indonesia, or lesser-known atolls in French Polynesia outside of Bora Bora, or even spots in Malaysia. What most people don't realize is that the concept of the overwater bungalow, that ultimate symbol of tropical indulgence, offers varying tiers of luxury. While a top-tier Bora Bora bungalow can easily set you back thousands a night, similar setups in places like Gili Meno or Gili Air can be found for a fraction of that, especially if you travel in the shoulder season. We're talking private decks with direct ladder access into turquoise waters teeming with turtles, thatched roofs, incredible sunset views, and that feeling of being Robinson Crusoe, but with Wi-Fi and room service. The Gili Islands, for example, are 3 tiny islands off the coast of Lombok, Indonesia. No cars or motorbikes are allowed. Transport is by bicycle or horse-drawn cart called a sidomo. This instantly dials down the pace and ups the charm. You can snorkel right off your bungalow, swim with sea turtles, they're everywhere, and enjoy incredibly fresh, affordable seafood at beachfront cafes with your feet in the sand. Or consider the Perhentian Islands in Malaysia. Similar vibe. Crystal clear waters, fantastic snorkeling and diving, and a range of accommodation that includes some beautiful, more budget-friendly overwater or beachfront options. The key is research and flexibility. The surprising truth is that luxury isn't always about the price tag, it's about the experience. It's about waking up to the sound of gentle waves, seeing vibrant coral and fish from your window, and having that direct connection to the ocean. If you're finding these kinds of deep dives into incredible destinations and travel hacks valuable, do us a solid and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We're committed to bringing you more content that not only inspires, but also equips you to see the world in new ways. Your support helps us keep exploring and sharing these game-changing spots. All right, let's tackle a big one. A place that floods your Instagram feed with those iconic blue domes and whitewashed villages, Santorini, Greece. Is it truly one of the most beautiful places on Earth, or is it a classic case of being loved to death,
a victim of its own incredible photogenic qualities? The answer, like most things, is complicated. There's no denying the visual punch. When you first see Oia or Imerovigli, with those sugar cube houses clinging to the sheer cliffs of the caldera, dropping hundreds of feet to the deep blue Aegean Sea, it's genuinely breathtaking. This is the remnant of a massive volcanic eruption around 1600 BC, one of the largest in human history, which shaped this crescent island and its dramatic geology. The sunsets from Oia are legendary for a reason. The sky explodes in color, bathing the white villages in a warm, ethereal glow. It feels like stepping into a painting. So yes, the IG-worthy part is 100% accurate. The beauty is undeniable. But here's the overhyped consideration: the crowds. During peak season, June to August, Santorini can be overwhelmingly crowded. Those narrow, winding pathways in Oia become human traffic jams. Finding a spot to watch that famous sunset can feel like a competitive sport. Prices for accommodation and even a simple meal in the prime viewing spots can be exorbitant. What most people don't realize is that the island offers so much more than just those famous caldera views. There are incredible black sand and red sand beaches on the southern and eastern coasts, like Parisa, Perivols, and Red Beach, which are fascinating geological marvels in their own right. There are incredible Minoan ruins at Akrotiri, often called the Minoan Pompeii, a remarkably preserved prehistoric city buried by that volcanic eruption. There are fantastic wineries producing crisp Asirtiko wine, a varietal native to the island that thrives in its volcanic soil. The surprising truth is, you can have an amazing, less frenzied Santorini experience. Consider visiting in the shoulder seasons, April, May, or September, October, when the weather is still fantastic, but the crowds are thinner and prices are more reasonable. Explore beyond Oia and Fira. Stay in a smaller village like Pyrgos or Emporio to get a more authentic feel. Rent an ATV and discover those hidden coves and viewpoints. So the verdict: Santorini is incredibly beautiful, a geological and aesthetic marvel. It earns its IG fame, but to truly appreciate it and avoid the overhyped feeling, you need to be strategic. Go beyond the cliches, manage your expectations regarding crowds, and you'll find the magic is absolutely still there. It's a bucket list destination that, with a little savvy, delivers on its promise.
Now we're dialing up the intensity. We're going to a place that's often described as the cruelest place on Earth, the gateway to hell, yet possesses a stark, alien beauty that's utterly mesmerizing. The Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. This isn't your typical tourist hotspot. This is an expedition into one of the lowest, hottest, and driest places on the planet. We're talking about a vast plain that lies more than 300 feet below sea level, where daytime temperatures regularly soar above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Seriously, it's one of the hottest inhabited places year-round. What most people don't realize is that this brutal landscape is a geological wonderland, sitting at the junction of three tectonic plates that are actively pulling apart. This tectonic activity fused the region's bizarre and colorful hydrothermal systems, like Dalol. Dalol is like nothing else on Earth. It's a ghost town, once a potash mining settlement, surrounded by bubbling hot springs, acid pools, and surreal salt formations in shades of neon yellow, orange, green, and white. It looks like a toxic psychedelic painting. The ground is encrusted with minerals, the air thick with sulfurous fumes. It's both beautiful and deeply unsettling. Then there's Erta Ala, one of the world's few continuously active shield volcanoes with a persistent lava lake in its crater. Imagine standing at the rim, looking down into a glowing, churning cauldron of molten rock. It's a primal, powerful experience. The Afar people, who have inhabited this unforgiving region for centuries, are incredibly resilient, traditionally mining salt from the vast salt flats, cutting it into blocks, and transporting it by camel caravans, a practice that continues to this day, much as it has for hundreds of years. This is a journey that requires an armed escort, experienced guides, and a serious understanding of the risks. Dehydration, heat stroke, and the challenging terrain are very real threats. The surprising truth is, despite the harshness, life clings on, And the geological forces at play here are literally shaping the future of continents. The Red Sea is slowly rifting apart, and scientists predict that in a few million years, the Danakil Depression will once again be flooded by the sea, forming a new ocean. So you're essentially getting a preview of massive geological change. This is not a trip for comfort seekers. Accommodation is basic, often camping in rudimentary shelters or under the stars. The conditions are extreme, but for the adventurous soul, for the geology enthusiast, for anyone wanting to witness Earth at its most raw and elemental, the Danakil Depression offers an experience that is truly unforgettable. It's a stark reminder of the planet's power and its capacity for creating beauty in the most unlikely and inhospitable environments. It's survival mode, yes, but it's also a profound encounter with the very fabric of our world. From the extreme to the iconic, let's talk about a place that's on almost every traveler's ultimate list: Machu Picchu, Peru. There's a reason this lost city of the Incas captivates the imagination like few other places on Earth. Perched high in the Andes Mountains, shrouded in mist and surrounded by towering green peaks, it's a masterpiece of engineering and a testament to a sophisticated ancient civilization. What most people don't realize is just how remote and inaccessible this site really was, and still is to some extent. The Incas built it around 1450 AD, at the height of their empire, but it was abandoned just over a century later during the Spanish conquest. Its location was so well hidden that the Spanish conquistadors apparently never found it. It remained largely unknown to the outside world until American historian Hiram Bingham was led to it by local Quechua people in 1911. And even then, it wasn't a discovery in the true sense. Local farmers knew of its existence. Bingham was the one who brought it to international attention. The sheer genius of Inca stonework here is mind-blowing. Massive blocks of granite, some weighing over 50 tons, were perfectly cut and fitted together without mortar, so precisely that you can't even slip a credit card between them. And this was all done without the wheel, without iron tools. How they quarried, transported, and shaped these stones with such precision remains a subject of intense study and awe. The site itself is a complex of palaces, temples, homes, and agricultural terraces, all seamlessly integrated into the mountainous landscape. The Temple of the Sun, the Intihuatana stone, a ritual stone believed to be an astronomical clock or calendar, the Room of the Three Windows. Each structure offers a glimpse into the Incas' advanced understanding of astronomy, agriculture, and architecture. The most popular way to reach Machu Picchu is by train to Aguascalientes, the town at the base, followed by a bus ride up the winding mountain road. But for the more adventurous, there's the classic Inca Trail, a multi-day trek through stunning Andean scenery, passing other Inca ruins along the way, and culminating in that dramatic entry to Machu Picchu through the Sun Gate, Inti Punku, at sunrise. The surprising truth is that Machu Picchu was likely not a city in the conventional sense, but rather a royal estate or a sacred religious site for Inca leaders. Its purpose is still debated, but its spiritual significance is palpable. You feel it in the air, in the stones, in the views. It's a place that hums with ancient energy. Due to its popularity, Peru has implemented strict ticketing and entry time systems to manage the flow of visitors and preserve the site, so planning ahead is crucial, but the effort is more than worth it. Standing there, looking out over those iconic ruins as the clouds swirl around the peaks, you understand why it's a true bucket list lock. It's more than just a ruin. It's a journey back in time, a connection to a lost world, and an encounter with enduring human ingenuity. Now for a place that offers an experience so unique, it could genuinely change how you see the natural world. The bioluminescent bays of Puerto Rico. Imagine dipping your hand into the water at night and watching it explode with thousands of tiny shimmering blue-green lights like liquid stars. This isn't science fiction. It's a natural phenomenon caused by microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates. Puerto Rico is home to 3 of the world's most spectacular bioluminescent bays: Mosquito Bay in Vieques, Laguna Grande in Fajardo, and La Parguera
in the southwest. Mosquito Bay is officially recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the brightest bioluminescent bay in the world. What most people don't realize is the sheer density of these organisms required to create such a brilliant display. We're talking up to 700,000 dinoflagellates per gallon of water in Mosquito Bay. When agitated by a paddle, a hand, a swimming fish, or even raindrops, these organisms emit a burst of light. It's a defense mechanism meant to startle predators. The experience of kayaking or taking an electric boat tour through these bays on a moonless night is utterly magical. Every paddle stroke creates trails of ethereal light. Fish darting beneath the surface look like shooting stars. If you swim, where permitted, and usually not in Mosquito Bay to protect it, your body is outlined in a ghostly blue glow. It feels like being immersed in a living galaxy. The surprising truth is that these ecosystems are incredibly delicate. The health of the dinoflagellates depends on a perfect balance of factors: the surrounding mangrove forests, which provide nutrients, the salinity of the water, minimal light pollution, and protection from strong currents. That's why conservation efforts are so crucial. Mosquito Bay, for instance, suffered a dimming event a few years ago, likely a combination of factors including sargassum seaweed influx and possibly sunscreen or DEET from visitors, prompting stricter regulations like prohibiting swimming and the use of certain chemicals before entering. This highlights just how fragile these game-changing natural wonders can be. Visiting a bioluminescent bay isn't just about the spectacle, it's an education in ecology. It's a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of life and the often invisible wonders that our planet holds. It's a game changer because it transforms a simple kayak trip into an encounter with living light, fostering a profound sense of awe and a desire to protect these unique environments. It's nature's own light show, and it's an experience that will stay with you long after the glow fades.
We've journeyed from salt flats to mountain peaks, ancient mysteries to adrenaline rushes. But if there's one place that encapsulates the raw, untamed, and precious beauty of our planet, a place that combines unique wildlife, stark volcanic landscapes, and a pivotal role in our understanding of life itself, it has to be the Galápagos Islands, Ecuador. This isolated archipelago of volcanic islands, about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador in the Pacific Ocean, is a living laboratory of evolution. What most people don't realize is that about 80% of the land birds and reptiles and over 30% of the plants here are endemic, meaning they're found nowhere else on Earth. Think about that. This is a world forged in volcanic fire, populated by creatures that have evolved in isolation for millions of years. This is where Charles Darwin, during his visit in 1835, made observations that were crucial to the development of his theory of evolution by natural selection. The famous Darwin's finches, with their differently shaped beaks adapted to various food sources, are the classic example. But it's so much more than just finches. There are the giant tortoises, some weighing over 500 pounds and living for over 100 years, lumbering across the highlands. There are marine iguanas, the world's only seagoing lizards, basking on black volcanic rocks and sneezing out salt. There are blue-footed boobies performing their comical mating dance, flightless cormorants with their stunted wings, and playful Galapagos sea lions that will often swim right up to snorkelers. The wildlife here is remarkably unafraid of humans, a testament to the island's long history of isolation and the current strict conservation measures. You can walk among these creatures, observing them in their natural habitat at incredibly close quarters. It's an experience that is both humbling and profoundly moving. The surprising truth is that the Galapagos are not a tropical paradise in the typical sense. While there are beautiful beaches, the landscape is often stark, volcanic, almost primeval. It's this very rawness, this sense of a world still in the making, that makes it so compelling. Each island has its own unique character and its own distinct set of inhabitants. Snorkeling or diving here is like entering another world, with penguins, yes, equatorial penguins, sea turtles, sharks, and vast schools of fish. The Galapagos National Park and Marine Reserve are heavily protected. Tourism is carefully managed to minimize impact.
Visitors must be accompanied by licensed naturalist guides, and strict rules are in place to protect the wildlife and environment. This careful stewardship is why the Galapagos remains Earth's crown jewel. It's a place that teaches us about our past, about the intricate web of life, and about our responsibility to protect these irreplaceable treasures. It's more than a destination, it's a pilgrimage for anyone who cares about the natural world. It changes your perspective on life itself. These 10 spots, from the unexpected to the undisputed, are more than just pretty pictures. They are invitations to experience the full spectrum of what our planet offers: its power, its fragility, its ancient stories, and its capacity to absolutely blow your mind. The world is packed with these transformative places, each holding a unique story, a unique challenge, a unique beauty. So what's the one place on this list, or even off it, that has fundamentally changed your perspective, or the one you're now burning to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what ignites your spirit of adventure. And if you're hungry for more journeys to the edge, make sure you're subscribed. The next expedition is always just around the corner.